Hello, radiant Leo soul, blazing with inner fire. This is not luck. This is the moment the universe returns what you've earned, not in theory, not someday, but now. If you've arrived here today, it's not an accident. You weren't randomly scrolling. Something deeper, your higher self, the magnetic rhythm of divine timing brought you here. Because this weekend, July 19th and 20th, holds a specific frequency that's aligned with you, and a wave of abundance is already on its way. Not the kind of luck people hope for when tossing coins into a fountain. This is the kind of breakthrough that comes after seasons of quiet resilience, of showing up, of planting seeds no one saw you plant. Now, the universe is delivering. And if you're ready to receive, this video is your mirror, your message, and your moment. What's coming toward you is not just money. It's momentum. It's movement. It's recognition. A reward wrapped in divine orchestration, like a cosmic wire transfer arriving when you least expect it, yet somehow right on time. As we explore the astrological and energetic landscape for you, Leo, you'll see that this isn't just another horoscope reading. This is a turning point. You're not being told what might happen. You're being reminded of what you've already called into being. Now pause with me for a second. Take a breath. Let your shoulders relax. This space right here is sacred. It's a place for reconnection. And whether you've been here with us many times, or this is your first moment stepping into the eternal mindfulness community, know that your presence matters. Please take a moment to confirm this alignment in the comments. Right, I'm ready to receive the abundance I've earned. When you do that, you're not just typing words, you're affirming your readiness to receive. You're anchoring your vibration into the timeline of receiving. You're letting the universe know, I'm open. And if you've ever supported this space through a like, a comment, a subscription, thank you. Your energy helps expand this circle of light. Every small interaction you make here isn't just engagement, it's co-creation. It's how we turn digital moments into spiritual movements. Leo, you're about to see how everything you've held onto with quiet strength is finally gaining form. Your work, your healing, your vision, it's all being answered. So stay with me until the very last moment of this reading. Because what's coming is not subtle. It's not small. It's not maybe. It's undeniable. And if you leave too soon, you might miss the part that was meant just for you. Let's walk into this weekend together with intention, with clarity, and with the full power of the lion-hearted spirit that you are. Now, are you ready to see what the universe has lined up for you? Because Leo, what's coming next will change everything. ChatGPT.noi. When the heart of a Leo speaks, it doesn't whisper, it roars with clarity, warmth, and an unwavering desire to be seen for its truth, not its decoration. And in this particular season, especially during this energetic window of July 19th and 20th, something extraordinary stirs in the domain of your emotional life. You may feel a gentle nudge, like the memory of a familiar gaze or the echo of an old rhythm reminding you that not all returns are regressions. Sometimes, we meet someone from the past not to rekindle the same flame, but to realize just how brightly we've learned to burn on our own. Love, for Leo, is never transactional. It's transformational. You are not the kind who flutters at surface sparks, not anymore. You are drawn to depth, to devotion, to the kind of connection that mirrors not only your light, but your shadows too. And in these days ahead, you may find yourself standing at a crossroad of the heart, where something old brushes against something entirely new, and the difference is no longer about time, but about truth. There may be someone watching you quietly now. Not with judgment, but with awe. Because the light you radiate isn't the product of vanity or need, it's the consequence of healing. Of becoming. Of surviving chapters where love felt more like a performance than a home. This gaze, whether from a new presence or an old flame, is magnetized not by your image, but by your energy. It's an energy that says, I know who I am now, and I won't dim to fit where I've outgrown. But here's what matters most: just because someone is drawn to your light doesn't mean they know how to hold it. You don't owe anyone access to the kingdom you built inside your chest. The throne is sacred. And anyone asking to sit beside you must have the courage to walk the path that earned it, not just admire your crown from afar. The Queen of Wands appears now, not just as a card but as a mirror. She is the embodiment of sacred self-respect, of passion without self-erasure, of love that doesn't require you to shrink. This is you, Leo, no longer begging to be understood, but choosing to be fully expressed. If someone cannot tend to the fire you so generously offer, let them seek warmth elsewhere. The Ace of Wands joins her, igniting something new. It may be a new encounter, or a new way of showing up in an old connection, but either way, it's a spark rooted in authenticity, not illusion. You're being invited now to ask yourself, what does love look like when I no longer negotiate my worth? When I no longer mistake intensity for intimacy, or confusion for mystery? What becomes possible when I stop performing emotional labor to earn someone else's presence? Take a moment with yourself. Write down 3 things you deeply desire in a relationship, not fantasies, but values. Then write 3 non-negotiables, boundaries that protect the dignity of your heart. This isn't a spell or a list for the universe to grant. It's an offering to yourself. A reminder that you are worthy of a love that expands you, not consumes you. There is a lesson here that echoes through many timeless teachings. When you learn to stay rooted in your own inner clarity, you stop searching for love like it's something outside of you. You become the flame. You become the warmth. And the right soul, the one who honors the light as well as the fire, will not only stay, they will rise with you. Not in front of you. Not behind you. But beside you. Where you've always belonged. There's a quiet kind of power in recognizing that you no longer need to chase what's already aligned with your energy. And when it comes to abundance, especially for you, Leo, this realization is everything. You were never meant to hustle endlessly just to survive. You were meant to create from purpose, to shine from the core of your being, and to allow the world to reflect that light back to you, not through applause, but through real, tangible prosperity. This weekend, something profound begins to shift. It's not just about the money. It's about what the arrival of money symbolizes. That the work you've done in silence, in doubt, in moments when no one saw, is finally being acknowledged in a language the world can't ignore. In the language of astrology, the days surrounding July 19th and 20th are rich with momentum, especially when it comes to material outcomes. Leo energy, governed by the sun, is not subtle. It expands. It wants to radiate. But that radiance doesn't come from proving your worth, it comes from honoring the steady effort you've been pouring into your vision. And now, with the Eight of Pentacles showing up alongside the Sun in your reading, the message is clear. You've been building something with devotion, and the fruit of that labor is ripening, perhaps faster than you imagined. You may notice something returning to you that once slipped away: a proposal, a project, or a person who once dismissed your value now wanting to collaborate or contribute. But this time, the dynamic is different. You're no longer waiting for approval. You're standing in a different frequency, one that naturally pulls opportunity toward you, without force, without strain. This is what many wise teachers throughout time have pointed to, that the outer world is a reflection of the inner alignment. When the heart is steady and uncluttered, and your actions come from clarity, then prosperity becomes an extension of your being, not a chase. Just as a flame naturally attracts warmth, your energy, when clear and confident, becomes a magnetic field. You stop acting from the fear of lack, and instead begin creating from the vibration of enough. From there, money flows. Not always in the ways you expect, but in the timing and forms that serve your growth. The numerological alignment is also striking. These 2 days fall under the vibrational influence of numbers 1 and 2, initiation and partnership. This could be the moment when your independent efforts, 1, finally meet the right collaborator or opening, 2, to bring everything together. And if you've been seeing repeating numbers like 11, 28, or 44, pay attention. These are signals, breadcrumbs from the universe letting you know you're in sync with a larger design. Colors matter, too, because color is frequency. Surround yourself with gold, with shades of sunlit amber or deep orange. Not because they're pretty, but because they activate your solar energy, the part of you that knows how to lead without dominating, to receive without guilt. These hues remind your subconscious that you are abundance in form. That you are not a seeker, you are the source. If you've been doubting whether your efforts are leading somewhere, this is your confirmation. Stay steady. Take the next small step. Keep showing up in your full integrity. Because money, opportunity, and recognition are not the finish line. They are the natural byproduct of a soul in motion, one that finally remembers it was never meant to beg for what it was born to attract. There are moments when the mind becomes like a sky after a long storm, suddenly clear, edged with sunlight, and quietly expansive. This weekend, as the energies of July 19th and 20th settle around you, you may find yourself standing in one of those rare windows of clarity. Not just mental sharpness in a surface sense, but a deeper, more essential knowing, the kind that doesn't ask for proof or validation, because it arises from within. For Leo, whose energy is ruled by the Sun, this inner light is not unfamiliar. But this time, it's not about expression. It's about decision. Clarity is not always comfortable. Often, it reveals what we've avoided seeing, the truth behind someone's actions, the cracks in a plan we once held tightly, or the real reason we've hesitated to act. But this particular alignment invites courage, not fear. Like the light of dawn casting shadows across the landscape, you begin to see not just where you are, but where the path opens next. And more importantly, where it doesn't. The Ace of Wands and the Chariot speak strongly here. The Ace brings ignition, a spark, an insight, a surge of inspiration that almost feels out of nowhere, except it's not. It's the answer to the quiet question you've been holding inside for weeks, maybe longer. This card doesn't scream. It pulses, gently, insistently. It says, create now. Meanwhile, the Chariot reminds you that clarity without movement becomes stagnation. You're not meant to stand at the starting line analyzing the terrain. You're meant to begin. Even imperfectly. This is the kind of clarity that allows you to send that message you've rewritten 100 times, to finally say the thing that clears the air between you and someone else. It's the kind that lets you look at the stack of ideas and finally choose the one that speaks to your future instead of your fear. But clarity, like all things of value, requires space. It doesn't compete with noise, it waits for stillness. That's why a 5-minute morning meditation, combined with a clear affirmation, can shift your entire trajectory. Because when your thoughts are no longer chasing themselves in circles, your energy starts moving forward with quiet precision. There's a timeless teaching about the mind, that it is both the seed and the field, both the brush and the canvas. What you hold in thought, you water with attention. And what you water, inevitably grows. That's why this window of mental alignment is so powerful. It gives you the chance to reset what you're planting in your internal landscape, not just by dreaming, but by declaring. What will you choose to grow now that your sight is unobstructed? The decisions you make in this space of awareness don't have to be big to be life-changing. Sometimes, it's the quiet commitments to speak more truthfully, to finish what you've started, to step away from the things that scatter your focus that create the most dramatic shifts. You don't need to force clarity. It arrives when you stop feeding confusion. Like a flame that needs still air to burn cleanly, your mind becomes luminous the moment you give it permission to be still and direct. You may not control the timing of every outcome, but you are always in charge of the lens through which you perceive it. That lens, right now, is polished and ready. Use it wisely. Let it guide your words, your actions, and even your silences. This weekend isn't just a chance to think clearly. It's a chance to see yourself as the author of your own momentum, not the echo of someone else's will. And when that happens, every step you take becomes a doorway, not a detour. Momentum is no longer a distant hum in the background of your professional life, it's at your doorstep, asking if you're ready not to start from scratch, but to build higher upon everything you've already established. This moment in your career isn't about reinvention. It's about expansion, deliberate, earned, and deeply aligned. You've been preparing for this without even knowing it. The countless hours of honing your craft, navigating uncertainty, showing up even when the results weren't immediate, all of it has carved a path that now calls for action, not hesitation. What's arriving now is not random. A new opportunity may appear, but its roots are in something you've already touched, a conversation, a passion, a seed you planted long ago. You may be seen by someone who once overlooked you. Or perhaps, the version of yourself who once thought, "That's not for me," will finally recognize how much you've grown into exactly that role. The space that once intimidated you is now calling for your leadership, not because you have something to prove, but because you have something to offer that no one else can deliver in quite the same way. The Chariot in your career reading affirms this. It's a symbol of forward motion, yes, but it also reminds you that true power isn't about rushing. It's about direction. It's about staying centered while everything around you speeds up. You're not being asked to be fast. You're being asked to be clear. There's no victory in movement unless the movement takes you where your values live. Let that clarity guide your choices now. The sun appears alongside it, and in the context of your work, that's a sacred sign. It tells you this is a season of visibility, of recognition, and of harvest. but only if you step into the light you've already earned. There's no more hiding. No more playing small so others feel comfortable. This is your invitation to rise into full expression professionally and purposefully. Many traditions teach that when the heart and the hands are aligned, work becomes more than a task, it becomes a way to awaken. And that's what's available to you now. When you bring your full self into your vocation, not just your skills but your sincerity, not just your goals but your groundedness, your work starts to ripple outward, creating value not just in outcomes, but in impact. You become the presence in the room that shifts energy, not by force, but by integrity. That kind of energy cannot be ignored. It draws attention without asking for it. If doubts arise, and they might, remember that questioning your worth in moments of growth is not a weakness, it's part of being deeply aware. But the real question isn't, am I good enough? It's, am I ready to show up as if I already belong here? Because the truth is, you do. And when you act from that place, doors don't just open, they stay open, because you walk through them with presence, not pretense. This is the time to say yes, not recklessly, but fully. Whether that yes is to a proposal, a project, or a deeper commitment to the work you already love, let it be a yes that comes from trust. Trust in the years you've spent becoming. Trust in the intuition that guides your next move. And trust that what you offer is not just useful, it's essential. Your voice, your vision, your leadership, they are not bonuses. They are part of the architecture of what's being built now. You're not a guest in this arena anymore. You are a pillar. Stand tall. After all the momentum, the professional clarity, the personal breakthroughs, the emotional surges, comes the whisper that so often goes ignored: rest. And not just physical rest, but a deeper, more restorative kind. A stillness that doesn't mean you're falling behind, but that you're returning to your center. For someone like you, Leo, whose nature is vibrant, courageous, and driven by passion, this pause might feel unnatural at first. You're wired to move, to create, to lead. But the truth is, even fire must be tended. Even the brightest flame needs intervals of quiet so it can burn long, not just bright. This moment in your journey is asking for recalibration. Not because something is wrong, but because so much is now blooming. And what blooms requires roots deep, nourished roots that can hold steady when the winds of change begin to blow. Your energy is precious. It's magnetic. But it's also not infinite. And while the world may admire your strength, only you know the toll that holding it all together can sometimes take. This weekend invites you to be gentle, not because you are weak, but because true strength knows when to soften. The Queen of Wands appears again here, not as a symbol of fire alone, but as a reminder that beauty and power are sustained through balance. She is radiant not because she never stops, but because she knows when to stop. She reflects self-care not as indulgence, but as discipline. The discipline to pause. To nourish. To disconnect from the noise that dims your inner wisdom, whether that noise comes from constant scrolling, comparison, overwork, or simply the pressure to be on all the time. And the sun, appearing in your health reading, is a sacred invitation. It's not only the planet that rules your sign, it's a representation of your entire energetic signature. The message is clear: your vitality is not something to push beyond. It's something to honor. Think of your health not as a checklist of things to fix, but as a sacred relationship. One where you're not at war with your body or forcing it to perform, but listening to it like you would to a dear friend who's been whispering truths you've been too busy to hear. Maybe that truth is about the fatigue you've been brushing off. The tightness in your chest that signals emotional weight, not just tension. Or the way your digestion, your sleep, or even your focus has subtly shifted in response to stress you haven't fully acknowledged. The body always speaks. The question is, are you willing to slow down enough to understand its language? Simple practices now can bring profound recalibration. A warm herbal tea with turmeric or cinnamon, not as a cure-all, but as a small ceremony of presence. A slow walk in morning light, where your thoughts can untangle and your breath can expand. Gentle movement like yoga or stretching, not for results, but for reunion. Supplements like vitamin D, zinc, or omega-3s, not to fix what's broken, but to fortify what's sacred. You are not trying to return to some perfect version of yourself. You are tending to the wholeness that already exists, one mindful act at a time. This inner nourishment naturally extends into your relationships, especially family. Old emotional knots may begin to loosen, not through confrontation, but through clarity. And in that clarity, there is an opening. Perhaps now is the time to have the conversation you've avoided. Not to relive the wound, but to release it. To speak not to win, but to witness. Because sometimes healing is not about resolution. It's about choosing peace over pride. When truth is spoken with presence and care, it doesn't pierce, it frees. Let your fire be guided by this wisdom. Let your health be built on love, not control. And let your relationships be nourished by truth, not silence. This is the deeper harmony you've been preparing for, not just the success others can see, but the serenity only you can feel. As we arrive at the closing breath of this journey together, I want to invite you not to an ending, but to a deep beginning within yourself. Leo, this weekend is not simply marked by planetary alignments or mystical symbols. It is shaped by you. By the fire you've chosen to tend, the truth you've chosen to speak, the rest you've chosen to honor, and the steps you are preparing to take, not out of fear, but out of quiet conviction. You don't need to ask permission to shine. No one holds the key to your radiance but you. And you don't need to wait for external confirmation to begin creating the life you deserve. This moment right now can be the turning point if you allow it to be. Because what the universe is offering you isn't just opportunity. It's reflection. It's saying, look how far you've come. Now look where you're capable of going. The insights shared in this reading are not predictions etched in stone. They're invitations. Gentle, profound doorways into alignment. And only you can choose to walk through them. So let me ask you, sincerely, what if you decided today that your life doesn't need fixing, it needs honoring? What if you chose to act as though everything you're seeking is already moving toward you because it is? What would change if you stopped trying to be ready and realized that you already are? Think of this weekend as a mirror. What you pour into it, it will reflect back. If you meet it with resistance, it will show you what you still fear. But if you meet it with presence, with clarity, with softness, with grounded self-respect, it will meet you with grace. Every action you take from that space, no matter how small, becomes a declaration of who you are becoming. So pause with me, one more time. Take a slow breath. And ask yourself, what is one thing you can do today that supports your becoming? Maybe it's setting a boundary. Maybe it's starting a project. Maybe it's allowing yourself 10 minutes of silence just to listen inwardly. Whatever it is, make it real. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Leave it in the comments if you feel called. Affirm to the universe, and to yourself, I am the light, and wealth, love, and strength are flowing to me with ease. This isn't the kind of affirmation you say hoping it will become true. This is the kind you say because deep down, some part of you already knows it's true. You just needed a reminder. And if this space eternal mindfulness has offered you even a sliver of that remembering today, I want to thank you. Thank you for watching, for being here, for holding space with me in this way. Every like, every comment, every subscription is not just support for this channel, it's energy. It's a shared agreement that we're all here seeking something deeper, and helping each other find it. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, and share it with someone you know is ready to hear this kind of message, maybe someone who needs it as much as you once did. Because when we share the light we've rediscovered, it doesn't diminish. It multiplies. You're not looking for a miracle. You are one. And the moment you live like you believe that, your entire world begins to respond. Stay grounded. Stay brave. And stay connected to your light, your worth, and your becoming. I'll see you again very soon. But until then, remember, your fire was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to lead.